What's up guys, it's your host Spartanic Arts DxD back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Finally Lost It Part 4, the finale. Let's try to hit 600 likes for this video. If you guys want to know exactly when I upload / my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button and it says join channel member. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I want your opinion for the next series. What should I call it? What if Issei went rogue, or what if Issei went solo? I'll repeat that again. What if Issei went rogue, or what if Issei went solo? It's up to you guys to decide. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Chapter 9. Let the games begin. Well, hello to you too, Issei says. You're going on a date? Just weeks after breaking up with us? What the hell, Issei? Rias says. Okay, first of all, I just got back home after 3 whole weeks and this is what you do? Second, we're done, remember? Whoever my date isn't anyone's concern but my own. And another thing, why do you all randomly burst through the door? Should I put salt lines under the door now? Rias came to realize as soon as he got home, she questioned him without welcoming him home after 3 weeks. Right, sorry, Rias replied. Rias turns around and was about to exit. Wait, here, Issei says. Issei opens a portal to a pocket dimension and pulls out a few bags. I got some souvenirs for everyone. This one's for you, Rias. You still collecting animal figures, right? The little rabbit is the latest addition, Issei says. Rias holds the little glass rabbit figurine. Thank you, Issei, and welcome home. Thanks. Glad to be back. Alright, everyone grab your stuff. I'm going to check on Mom and Dad. Hey, wait, you didn't tell us how your training went. Did you control that power? Yuna replied. Issei smirked, then manifested the mask, but kept his eyes closed to avoid scarring the others, especially after how they feared him last time. Yeah, it's all under control, Yuna, Issei replied. Issei makes the mask disappear. Have fun, you guys, Issei says. Issei, you didn't call us for 3 weeks. Do you still hate us? Akano replied. Honestly, no. Not anymore. I did some soul searching and I'm okay now. And I'm not lying, Akano, Issei says. So what now? Gasper replied. Issei will tell us about the new girl, Konako said. Not a girl, a woman. He blushed a bit and smiled as he placed a hand where she kissed him. An incredible woman. Issei then leaves to see his parents. Rias was hurt that Issei found someone so quickly. He referred to her as an amazing woman. He never said that to her. Perhaps he was too afraid at the time. He moved on, Ozia said. Still kind of missed the attention he gave us through, but it's for the best, Zenobia said. So Ross Visa, how did he control his powers? Ravel said. I don't know how he did it, because Azazel, Lady Yakuza, and I weren't around him at the time, but after he did control it, he looked happier. I could tell what we experienced when in the first week. He trained the other 2 weeks to extend the amount of time he used with his hollow powers. Now the real other question on everyone's mind. The girl? Russell replied. The girl, everyone said. Ha, nope. I don't know much about her, sorry, Ross Visa replied. She said teasingly, then left the room with a skip on her step. Well, she's definitely giddy. Being around all those happy yokai children must have been the cause, Akano said. I wondered about the new girl, though. Issei goes to see his parents and tells them about hyoudou. He told them about their internship that was a type of self-management and helping others with it. It wasn't a complete lie, so they believed it. Issei brought a lot of desserts from there, and Konako can be seen eating sweets in her natural habitat. After Issei unpacked and did what needed to be done, he went to the others and prepared for the raiding game. The day arrived, and they went to the underworld. They got through all the formalities and then let the game begin. Team Rias versus Team BL. Both teams on opposing sides, on a large platform. Looks like someone got a new pawn, Issei said. Saruor got a trump card. 2, it seems. Ha! I welcome it, Issei says. Greetings, everyone. I'm Azazel, and I'll be in charge of the commentary. Of course he is, Rias says. Looks like we are in for a surprise, folks. On Team Gremmer, we have the Red Dragon Emperor, and on Team Beal, we have a new member, but next to nothing is known about him. Looks like Saruor came prepared with his own trump card for the fight. Now, without further delay, let's begin. Alright, next up is the pawn of Rias Grimmery versus the Bishop Beal. My bishop and I came to take you down, Saruor said. This should be interesting. Balance breaker. Dreg. Welch Dragon. Balance breaker. Issei now in his balance breaker faces BL Bishop. Cyberorg's bishop is a beautiful woman with an hourglass figure and long wavy blonde hair. She looked like Issei seductively and begins to strip. What the? Azazel says. Cyberorg, what is the meaning of this? Rias says. The perfect way to take Issei down. Issei just face palms. The sound of metal hitting metal was echoing due to silence. What's the matter, Red Dragon Emperor? Do you not want to ravage me? Bishop replied. She caresses her almost completely nude body in front of him. Yeah, no. Issei appears behind her and knocks her out with a chop to the nape. Well, that was unexpected, Cyberorg said. Issei then spreads his wings over to avoid any further embarrassment for everyone. That would have worked on the old me, but no more. I'm not a foolish pervert I used to be, Issei said. The crowd went nuts at the revelation. The Grabbin' Dragon changed. The kids were slightly disappointed, but still cheered for Issei. He was in awe about how the kids instantly accepted the new him completely. You changed a lot, Issei, in so little time. Care to share? Cyberorg replied. Beat me and I'll talk, Issei said. Very well then, Cyberorg replied. Things are getting heated up now. On to the next match. Akano was against Cyberorg's queen and lost. Zenobia, Razvice, and Kiba fought Cyberorg and lost despite their best efforts. Issei was now getting a little pissed off and eager to beat Cyberorg now. Next match. Issei vs. Kushina Abaddon. Akano may have lost to her, but will the Red Dragon Emperor win? Begin. Azazel says, please put all your power into defense if you want to survive. Tough talk, killed, Kushina says. I warned you. Dreg, balance breaker. Promotion, night. Issei's armor changed to his aerodynamic thin armor and charges at her full speed. She couldn't even register his speed before Issei stopped right in front of her. Promotion to Rook. Issei, now again changing his armor to bulky and more durable with greatly enhanced strength, punched Kushina directly, but he hit nothing. He only saw her disappearing into a green light. I see what that happened here, Azazel said. I made her retire. That punch would have killed her, Issei. I can see it. The anger in you. The hatred for me after my match against your team went down. I apologize. My anger took over. I was saving my new armor promotions for you, but it looks like the secret's out, Issei said. Right, Cyberorg replied. Cyberorg then says to watching those in charge. I request a battle royale. 2 kings versus 2 pawns, Cyberorg says. The crowd cheers at the idea. I have just received the news and it has been decided. The battle royal has been granted. Azia, I want you to stay behind. I'm sorry if the words seem cruel, but this is a tough fight. I understand. Please be careful. Rias and Issei, along with Cyberorg and his pawn, teleported to a field surrounded by a barrier strong enough to endure the battle. So who's your pawn? I'll show you. Do it, Regulus. The pawn transformed into a human, a very large golden lion. Is that the lion of Nenma? Azazel says, yes, my sacred gear and pawn. I found him and added him into my barrage. This is my surprise, Cyberorg said. Issei, I'll fight the lion. You can have Cyberorg, Rias says. Let's do this. Balance breaker. Promotion, night. Welch Dragon. Balance breaker. Promotion. Welch Sonic Boost, night, Drake says. Issei charged with nearly supersonic speeds, then promoted to Rook, and engaged in a fistfight against Cyberorg. Rias kept the lion at bay using her power of destruction. Issei's Rook armor was dishing out heavy damage, but so was Cyberorg. The crowd went into wild at the scene. The shockwaves from each punch thrown was as rapid as a machine gun. Both were still at it, even after showing signs of fatigue. Before Cyberorg could throw another punch, the Lion of Nema crashed into him. He got up and looked at Rias, and Issei still standing while his knees were beginning to shake. Master, please don me, the lion says. No, I told you that'll only happen if there's an emergency in the underworld, Cyberorg said. Do it, Issei replied. Issei, are you crazy? The decision could kill you, Rias replies. We promised to fight each other at our best. Sorry, Rias. Come on, Cyberorg. Don him and fight me without holding back, Issei says. Ha! It seems I owe you an apology, Issei. I did hold back, but no more. Regulus, balance, break, Cyberorg says. The lion became a suit of golden armor, with Cyberorg and his power increased exponentially. Still going to fight him? Hell yeah, I am, Issei says. Issei boosted his power to his limit and charged in. Cyberorg blocked with a small punch and Issei's armor was shattered as he went flying backwards. Issei, Rias said. She ran him and checked if he was injured. Just a lot of bruises. His armor took most of the damage. Are you doing okay? Rias replied. Yeah, but my body is aching from the pain. How many Phoenix Tears do we have? 2, Rias replied. Mind if I have one? Sure, Issei. Issei took a Phoenix Sphere and drinks. His bruises healed and his energies replenished. So do you give up, Issei? Like hell. I also have another trick up my sleeve. Issei gets up and walks forward, then summons his mask after dispelling his armor. What the hell? Cyborg says. Get ready, Escalating. Issei said, Dre, blade! Issei grabs Escalating when released from his sacred gear. Issei disappeared from sight in an instant and reappeared behind Cyborg, ready to slash him. Cyborg couldn't react in time and was cut by Escalating. The mane of his Regulus armor was cut clean off by revealing the long slash mark on his back. Cyborg jumped forward to avoid another attack. What kind of power is this? Issei said, with his dual hollow voice. This is my trump card. Should my promotions not be enough, it's my hollification. And the move from earlier is called Flash Step. Who taught you that? Rias said. A very cute fox in Kyoto. Ari really is an excellent teacher. So that's her name, Rias says. You continue to surprise me, hyoudou. Now that I know how fast you are, I can fight accordingly. Bring it on. Those eyes tell me to go all out. Issei once again used flashed up and slashed as Cyborg, who was able to block Issei's attack this time. He caught Issei's arm and punched him in the face. A part of the mask was broken, but Issei repaired it. Issei's durability in this state was good. All things considering, his training paid off. Issei and Cyborg were now in close-to-close combat, but this time Cyborg had to avoid getting cut down too. Cyborg needed to get some distance to think of a new plan. He saw Rias not too far away. He condensed some energy in his fist and launched it at Issei. He dodged. You missed. Wasn't aiming for you. Looks behind him and sees the condensed energy moving towards Rias. No! Issei appears in front of her and takes the hit. Issei? Issei looks up to her. Those eyes. Rias' thoughts. Those eyes, they scare me. I see the anger. I see so much they see right through me. Issei, I'm sorry. I wish I could take it all back. Rias was scared, silent by terrifying look in his eyes. He obviously saw that he was scaring her, so he went back to fight Cyborg. That was a dirty trick, Issei replied. Sorry, I was never planning on actually let it hit her. She is family, and I'm here to fight you too. I just needed some time to figure out how to beat you. Then I'm going to take you down before you can take us down. Get ready. Issei powers up and combines his Suro with Escalating. Hollow Dragon Talon. Issei released a blackish red energy wave that hit Cyborg directly and damaged his armor. Issei constantly used flash step and zero shots. The barrage of attacks continued to damage Cyborg beyond his expectations. Wow, Rias says. The crowd was going nuts. I knew we were strong, but this is unbelievable. Cyborg is having one tough time, as Azazel says. Cyborg was not getting frustrated, but hanging in there. Why aren't you using the power of your sacred gear like I am? Cyborg replied. I can't risk that. This power is new to me, so if I combine it with Drake, then who knows what'll happen. Then you won't be able to win. I won't let you take me down. Overdrive. Cyborg was now into overdrive, using all of his energy, even his life force became stronger. Too strong for Issei to handle now. Oh shit. Issei, watch out, Rias said. Huh? Just then, Cyborg surprisingly teleported to Issei and punched right through his chest. The crowd went silent as they saw the red wings emerge from Issei's back. No, that was his blood spraying everywhere. Rias covered her mouth from shock. What? No, as Azazel said. Cyborg powered down and came into his senses. He sees Issei right in front of him, with a hole in his chest. No, what have I done? Cyborg replied. He removed his hand. Issei fell face first. Rias ran up to him and used the second Phoenix Tear on him, but the wound was too big for the Phoenix Tear to heal. It seems they aren't perfect after all. What have I done? Cyborg says, Issei, can you hear me? Issei was on the verge of death, and again with the hole in his torso, Issei floats in his dark subconscious. Well, it looks like this is it. I'm sorry, Rias, everyone. All things considered, it was a good life. I got to live a short one. Issei then starts hearing a voice. Issei, who's there? Rias, is that you? Issei, come back to us. Is it you? Sorry, but I'm done for. Hollow Issei. Back so soon? Jeez, dude. Issei just sits there in silence. You know what you have to do if you want to see Ari again. You promised her a date, remember? Hollow Issei replied. Issei begins to have flashbacks of her. That's right, I promised her. I also promised to beat Cyborg and help Rias win. Then get up. Get up and fight, Hollow Issei said. I will. I will fulfill my promises. Rias is crying while Cyborg shakes from the pain and regret. The crowd watches Issei lays there motionless. Irina falls to her knees as her childhood friend bleeds on the ground. Azia, numb at the sight. No, Issei, please come back, Rias says. Just then, Rias fills the air and begins to sting the gust of wind. She looks at the source and sees. Issei, is that you? Oh no. Rias and Sayara, get out of there now. All of the ultimate class devils and above. We need your attention. Contain him now. Rias couldn't comprehend what was happening. She gets up and moves closer to Issei, who stood there motionless. She placed her hand on his face, or should I say mask. It was cold and rough to the torch. Sayara also get up. Issei, are you okay? Sayara replies. Issei put his hand out on Aslan and came at him. He swung the blade with such force the ground broke apart. The wind sent Rias flying, but Sayara caught her. Is that even Issei anymore? We need to leave now. Issei lets out a roar while releasing waves of energy. Shit is about to go down. And that's the end of Chapter 9. Let the games begin. Chapter 10. Run. Issei looked at Sayara and Rias with those. They were darker than the eyes of an abyss. Issei, come back to your senses, Rias replied. Issei let out another roar and charged a Zero between his horns. Sayara's instinct screamed at him to run, and he obeyed. Issei fired the Zero and just barely missed Rias and Sayara. The Zero went off into the distance. After a few seconds, a bright flash was seen, followed by a massive mushroom cloud. The barrier began to crack from an attack. Issei fired another one, and again he dodged. Again, they dodged. Another mushroom cloud appears far off in the distance. We need to leave right now. Yeah, you think? You owe me an explanation for what the hell is happening, Sayara says. Yeah, sounds about right, Rias replies. Both. At the same time. We retire. Both were enveloped by a green light and teleported back just as Issei hit them with his third Zero. Issei then started firing again and again and hit the barrier each time. It was beginning to crack but not break. Issei summoned his boosted gear and boosted his power. He charged up another Zero for a few seconds and fired at the barrier. It completely shattered. The barrier is destroyed. Everyone evacuate immediately. Get the woman and children to safety. This small dimension is next to fall, Azazel says. As Azazel flew out and entered his artificial balance breaker, he was followed by Seraphald, Graphia, and Serzex. What is happening? Azazel, Graphia says. I'll explain everything later. Stop him as he enters the Juggernaut Drive, Azazel says. Hang on, Issei. We are coming, Serzex says. They entered the dimension and surrounded him. Issei, without a second of hesitation, used the flash step and started to slash everyone. They were able to put up more than a fight, then Sayara actually pushed Issei to his limits. Issei would split Serzek's spheres made of P.O. power of destruction almost every time. Azazel would use his spear for mid-range physical attacks, but Issei would be able to counter-attack easily. He would kick Azazel hard enough to break his armor, revealing a beaten and bruised Azazel. Seraphald created water dragons and forced alone would hurt him, but he would heal immediately. Graphia also tried to restrain him, but couldn't without hurting him. They had no choice. They had to stop him with greater force. Azazel was down, but Seraphal, Serzex, and Graphia pushed to the limit and attacked Issei simultaneously. Serzex, now covered in his signature power of destruction, attacked Issei relentlessly. Graphia created a magic circle and increased gravity on Issei only. Seraphal created more water dragons and hit him harder. Issei released a howl of pain, but Shrek called out, "Everyone run! He's about to use the Juggernaut Drive." Oh shit, Azazel says. Azazel found the will to fight and appeared behind Issei, only to take a Zero shot to the gut. Luckily, only took minor damage. Issei then began to enter Juggernaut Drive. His body became much larger, but remained skinny. The red armor manifested around his body and changed the color to black with white spikes. His eyes were like looking into hell itself. His tail was long and deadly. The hole in his chest had a flame. "We need help," Serzex said. Issei's power in his holified Juggernaut Drive alone was too much. The artificial dimension collapsed and everyone was back in the arena. By then it was empty as everyone had left. "If we don't stop him here, then he'll destroy the underworld," Graphia said. "I called for backup." "Who did you call?" "Incoming," Serzex. Issei now supercharged his Zero Blast and was fire at them until a blue streak of light came down on top of Issei. A voice echoes, "Divide!" "You called Volley?" Who else would be willing to stop him? Volley enters his Juggernaut Drive and continues to divide Issei's power. "Azazel, what happened to hyoudou? This power, it's too much," Volley replies. Volley continues to divide and Issei begins to shrink down to his normal size. He eventually turns back to his Vastrolota form and then shot out of magic circles on the ground and restrained him. Issei again charged up another Zero, but Arthur showed up and cut off his horns. The Zero disappeared and Issei's mask started to crack and then shattered. Issei fell to the ground and so did Volley. His Juggernaut Drive then broke into pieces and he was back to himself but breathing heavily. He vomited after pushing his limits. Issei lay on the ground with a hole in his chest. The chains let him go and returned to the magic circle from which Kuroka emerged. Volley, are you okay? Kuroko says. No, not really. But I'll be fine, Volley says. Is the Red Dragon Emperor okay? Arthur replied. Surzex came to Issei and Kuroko came to his aid as well. She saw the hole in his chest, but Issei is still alive somehow. This makes no sense, Kuroko says. Surzex picks up one of the pieces of the mask besides Issei. What the hell happened to you, Issei? Surzex replied. A few more portals appeared from which Star Oregon Team Rias came out, covered in bandages. Yakuza and Ari came out of the other portals. Yakuza in her true nine-tailed fox state and Ari in her hollow state. They looked at Issei, who lay there in the hole in his chest. It happened, didn't it? Yakuza said. I'm afraid so, Lady Yakuza, Azazel replied. Before anyone else could say anything or try anything, the mask pieces started to float and turn into mist. The mist hovered over Issei, then filled the hole in his torso, basically regenerating him. Everyone looked at Issei. Ultra high-speed regeneration? Issei, now you're just showing off, Ari replied. Issei shot up and started everyone. They looked at him with wide eyes and froze up, except for Ari. Please tell me I didn't kill anyone, Issei said. They all sighed with relief. Grafia smacked him on the head. You have a lot of explaining to do, mister. Ouch, jeez, that hurt, Issei replied. So what happened, Ari said. Something incredible and horrific. It's truly a miracle that no one is dead. Surzex pulled a footage from the magic camera which was used to record the raiding game. Those who didn't see it went pale at the sight. Issei looked sad but smiled in the end. I'm glad everyone's alright. Yeah, can I get someone to heal me? Azazel said. Sorry, Issei replied. Don't worry about it. I've handled worse. Everyone looks at him and thinks, yeah right, you nearly died within 5 minutes. Azia used her Twilight Healing to heal Azazel. Volley gets up. Okay, so hyoudou, what was that power and how long have you been hiding it? Volley said. Well, I suppose I owe everyone an explanation. I was testing out my flight speed and duration in my balance breaker 2 months ago. I reached the coast of Japan and I was so tired after flying at supersonic speeds. I rested on the grass, but then I encountered a hollow. I didn't sense its presence until it was too late. It bit me and I got turned into a hollow in the way. I trained with Ari, who mastered her powers long ago. Lady Yakuza, Azazel, and Rosvisa also helped me out. Everyone looks at the three except for Ari. You three knew this might happen? Everyone said. It was a small possibility, but I had faith Issei would be able to control it, Yakuza replied. And by the looks of it, he did. How so? Rias said. Because he didn't actually critically injure anyone. Even though he could have killed us all, he was most definitely on defense. Once he combined his hollow and Juggernaut drive, he was using Drake's power, and you know what that means, Azazel says. Everyone had a question mark on their heads. It means that I was able to take control to some extent. Issei managed to control his hollow part while I controlled the Juggernaut drive. Speaking of which, Albion and Volley, thank you. It feels so much strange to be thanked by the Red One, Albion said. I agree, but I'm thankful for your aid. You two managed to bring my partner back to normal. And it took everything we had just to do that, Volley said. I wonder, if both Drake and Issei ever lost control again, then, Greyfair replied. It'll take Great Red and Orifice to take Issei down, Surzex said. Issei went pale. Well, we won't have to worry about that, Issei replied. What do you mean? The last time I used Juggernaut Dried, I lost a part of my life force. I would live a century at most compared to the usual 10,000 devil years. But now, I did it again. Issei's face went blank and so did everyone else's. Drake then spoke. Actually, you won't die anytime soon. I analyzed it and used most of your hollow power and stamina this time. You'll live. Everyone released a sigh in relief. So who won the game? It was a tie. We both retired at the same time to avoid getting blasted into oblivion. Sorry, said Issei. So now we better inform the public everything is alright. What do we do about the 3 Chaos Brigade members? Surzex replied. Don't worry about me. I'm done with them. In fact, I'll join under the condition that we are all pardoned and I get to fight hyoudou again. Jeez, you're a battle maniac, Issei says. It took all of my power and Juggernaut drive just to turn you back to normal, and that's with everyone working together. I got a lot of training to do, Volley said. Well, considering you 3 did help us save the internet without any casualties, I will agree to your terms. As do I, but you will keep under observation. Is that clear? The 3 nod. What about Keo, BQ, and LaFay? Grafia said. They will agree to your condition, Arthur replied. Now that the raiding game was interrupted, what will happen? Ravel said. Live to fight another day, I suppose, Sarek says. Everyone continues to talk. Issei gets up and his legs are shaking. Just before he falls to Ari in a stand. Don't push yourself, Ari says. Thanks. Once I recover, I'll take you on that date, I promise. Sounds good, but one tiny concern. What? Issei says. The girls are looking at us in envy while the black Nekomata is lusting after you. Care to tell me what the last part is about? No, Issei said. My name is Kuroka, and he's the future father of my kids, Kuroka says. Again, I never agreed to that. After seeing how powerful you became, I won't stop trying to have your kids, Kuroka said. After seeing how powerful I became, you really think you can? Ooh, snap, Ori replied. Sorry, Kuroka, but it's not going to happen. I'm a one-woman kind of guy now. Everyone except for the ORC, Azazel and Yakuza, gasped. Wait, what? I thought you wanted a harem, Kuroka replied. Nope. I grew up and wanting to have a harem just isn't my thing. Gravius, Zek, Serafal, and Sour Org look at Issei. Volley and Arthur smile at the new and improved Issei. Kuroka was feeling kind of down. Hey, there's no need to feel so down. I'm sure you can find the right guy to have a family with. Issei, I have an idea. Sit down for a moment. Issei sits down on the rubble and created his sword to swing. Ari grabs Kuroka and talks to her in the distance. What's this about? Look, I know you like him for reasons other than to bring Nekomata to the world due to low numbers, but then again, so do I. So how about I try to convince him to date us both? I don't mind sharing since that's how us yokai do things anyway, Ari replies. Kuroka has a gentle and sweet remark on her face. Thanks. I never got your name. It's Ari. Now, we're back with Issei. So, Issei, care to explain what you really meant by one-woman lover? The ORC members, except for Ravel and Ross Weiss, were scared now, thinking that Issei would tell them about what happened. I came to the realization that the love of my life, the girls in our team, wouldn't work out. Rias is my master, and I'm just a low-class pawn. Our relationship might cause too much blackish, and I don't want anyone thinking that I would give more attention to one or the other. All of this would have ripped the team apart, and none of us want that. We are better off as friends and teammates. But you don't love Rias? Gravius said. I do love her, but I'm not in love. There's a difference. And us being a couple was what the underworld decided. After Riser no longer being in the picture, I was put on a pedestal right next to her. A forced relationship doesn't work out for anyone, Issei said. I am saddened by the news, but your logic is accurate. Things did not turn out exactly how you describe it. Rias, are you okay with this? Yes, we all accepted it and it's the right thing to do, Rias replied. It's amazing how clearly one can think when they don't feel the lust in Sir Zex. I'm sorry, but the grab and dragon is done for, Issei says. What? Issei, the children love you, Greyfear replied. After what they saw, I doubt it. I probably traumatized them. A dark cloud loomed over him. How about a reboot? Everyone looks at her. Think about it. What better way to get to know the new you? We can see the grab and dragon thing was a test of sorts, and we are trying other ideas. That might work, and Issei in his hollow state was pretty badass. Scary, but badass, Azazel said. I can't tell if that's a compliment, Issei replied. Ori and Kuroka return. We should clean up this mess and go home, Rossweiser replied. Leave that to us. Issei and everyone else go home. Once you recover, I want to know the real reason you changed. No one changes so much quickly unless they suffered, Greyfear replied. All of Team Rias froze. Volley, Kuroka, and Arthur were confused. Yeah, that's fair, Issei said. You too, Azazel. Yes, ma'am, Azazel said. Should I ask? Kuroka replied. No, not yet. You'll find out soon enough, Ari replied to Kuroka. And that is the end of part 10. Run. Chapter 11. Issei and everyone went home. All of the members of Team Valo followed. Sir Zex and Kuroka was no longer marked as a stray due to her aid in saving the underworld. Sire Org started training in every way he could after healing. Yakuza went back to the hyoudou, but Ari remained by Issei's side, mainly to make sure his inner hollow didn't take over or anything like that, but the other reason, of course, was that she loves him. Issei slept for almost 3 days after the fatigue hit hard. Ari and the rest of Team Rias and Irina got to know her during the time. So you're the one Ari, huh? Rias says. Ari kind of nervous at the interrogation. The one how? The one Issei likes, and he says he's going on a date with you soon, Akana replies. Ari was happy that Issei likes her back. There was no denying it. Yeah, we agreed to go on a date after the game, but it's best that he recovers first. Also, I didn't get your names, Ari said. The ORC and Irina introduced themselves, except for Ross Weissa. When Rias introduced herself at the end, to which Ari hollified, they backed off and Ari immediately turned back to her normal self once she took a deep breath. Rias, Gremory, Akano Hijima, Konako Toju, and Kiba Yuta, Ari replied. She said with hate in her voice. Wait, why are you so angry? Rias said. You hurt him. Ari replied. The four were now gloomy. Now I understand your anger. You know about it, huh? Kiba says. Ari calms down. Yes, I do. I need to know to find out how his hollow powers was triggered to what extent. He had to tell me, Ari said. What else did he say? Akina replied. That he forgives you for. Everyone went still. Less than a month ago, he nearly killed Rias. Irina, Issei forgave them and did something even harder than that. He forgave himself, which is something far few good people do, Ari says. Meaning, Ozzy replied. He accepted the part of him that caused him trouble and overcame them. For example, his lust caused him for trouble, but after controlling it and overcoming it, he is a far better person. The whole 3 weeks he looked at Lady Yakuza in our eyes instead of our bodies. He's a real gentleman, Ari replies. He shared everything, Zenobia said. Again, yes, he had to. There wasn't anyone really helping him because no one here really experienced what he did. Don't get me wrong. I know all of your mistakes, and he tried to make things right by being there for him, but he needed something else, Ari said. Or someone else, Rosweiser replied. She winked at Ari and Ari blushed. I don't want to sound boastful. Sorry. She teased him too after they returned. He went red and not from Los. Konaka said. I wonder how you connected so deeply in just 3 weeks, Rabble replied. We are two of a kind after all, Ari said. She went into her hollow state. But both of your hollifications look different, Kiba said. I was born with mine. Issei was turned into one directly and from the most powerful type of hollow. I'm as strong as a high-class devil, but he's his ultimate class easily. But combined with the boosted gear, Akina replied, Devil King level or above, no question. It took Zerzek's Lucifer, his queen, Azazel, and Seraphol Leviathan to stop him. And he was mostly in control of it, which is honestly amazing, Rias said. Hollow and dragon powers are fueled by emotions, mainly rage, but forgiveness and self-control greatly help in mastering the hollow within, Ari replied. How were you born with them? Irina said. My mother was bitten by a hollow at a very short time before I was born. My body accepted the hollow powers, but my mother couldn't. She passed away and I hated my powers because of it. But then I realized that it wasn't my fault or my mother's, so I accepted the hollow and mastered it. You let go of anger, and so did Issei, Rias replied. Yup. So what will you do about Lady Grafia said? Tell her the truth, obviously. We accept any punishment she has for us, Zenobia said. Everyone agreed. I hope she doesn't punish you guys, Ari replied. But don't you hate us for what we did? I am angry about... But if Issei can forgive you guys, I have no ill will towards you, Ari replies. After a few moments of silence, so any plans on your date, Irina said? Not really. There's a fall festival coming up soon, so we might try that. What did you talk to my sister about, Konako said. Well, that's between us for now. Us cats and foxes must stick together, Ari says. She replied with a smirk and a slight blush. After a day or two, Issei had recovered completely and everyone met up with Azazel. Ari joined them to report what kind of training Issei went through. When they went to visit Zerzek, Grafia, and Seraphol, they gave them a look with the demand of the truth. So who will start? I will, but I request keeping an open mind and know that I'm not angry and happy with my life. Very well, continue, Grafia said. Everyone explained their part in the events that led to Issei being heartbroken, his outburst resulting in dragon shots being fired at the sea and the moon, getting bitten by a hollow, depression, change in personality, hollification, training with Ari, Yakuza, Azazel, and Rosvice in Kyoto for 3 weeks. That's quite the story, Grafia replied. Rias, Akino, Kiba, and Konako, I'm honestly disappointed, but you're in luck. Issei holds no grudge against any of you. In addition, you did try to make things right when you saw your mistakes. You are let off with a warning, Zerzek said. Ari, we owe you a great deal for helping Issei control his powers, which led him to not killing everyone in the underworld in his hollow drive. I like the name, Hollow Drive. Sounds fearsome, Issei said. Yeah, I'm glad you like it, Seraphol replied. So now we decide on the Red Dragon reboot. We can't decide that in due time. But please, no more perverted stuff. Wholesome family entertainment is better for everyone, Issei replied. How about some sexual innuendo for the adults? Depends. How many are we talking about, Issei said. At least a couple per season should it become a show like before, Azazel said. Yeah, I can work with that, Issei replied. I guess that concludes the meeting. Quickest meeting ever, Seraphol said. Thank God, Zerzek replied. Saw that coming, Rias said. Also, FYI, the match was decided as a draw. You and Cyborg can fight for the championship title next time. Agreed, Rias said. The meeting concluded and everyone went home. So Issei, you know what to do now, right? Ari said. Yes, I do. When would you like to go on our date? Issei said. There's a winter festival in Kyoto coming up. How about that? Ari replied. Sounds perfect, Issei said. Okay. I remember our one and only date. Akano said. You mean the one in which Rias, Azia, Gasper, Konoko, and Zenovia followed us and their atrocious stealth? Issei said. The 5 mentions looked away in embarrassment. Piece of advice, guys. Follow us on our date and you'll see the hollow drive fully unleashed, Issei said. Issei manifests his vacillated mask this time. Yes, kindly refrain from doing that. Ari uses partial hollow transformation. Make sure not to do anything. Everyone gulped. Yeah, we'll just stay here, everyone said. Smart choice, Issei replied. And that's the end of Chapter 11. Chapter 12. After putting the fear of the hollows in Team Rias and Irina, Issei and Ari spent time together daily. The fall festival was days away. Issei and Ari went to the park and practiced a date of sorts since none of the two ever went on an actual date. Issei's first date, well, killed him, and his date with Akano was very insensitive for her to beat up her opponent alongside Rias. The two sat on the side of the bench and enjoyed each other's company when suddenly a little cat jumped on Issei's lap. Aw, how cute, Ari said. Yeah, wait a second. This cat has 2 tails. Kuroka, is that you? Kuroka turned back into her Nekomata form and put in a pose back. You guessed it. Care to explain why you interrupted our date? You kept me waiting with no answer about our agreement, Kuroka said. What agreement? Oh, right. Issei, Kuroka and I agree to both go out with you if you're willing to accept. But I told you and everyone I would prefer to just be with one woman. Just hear her out. You might change your mind. Issei looks like Kuroka. Okay, sure. What do you have to say? Kuroka perked up. Look, now that I may come off as a hoe, but that's not the case. I really do like you. I only act all flirty and show off my body in hopes that you'll just lust after me. I know it sounds wrong, but I do like you. I'm being direct since you're not driven by lust anymore. And you're okay with this, Ari? Issei said. I am. If our relationship doesn't work out, then you'll have Kuroka by your side, Ari says. You should have a backup plan for most things, but love isn't one of them, Issei said. I know, but she does like you, and so do I. Just think about it, okay? Well, who am I to break your hearts? Let's give it a shot, Issei said. Kuroka is really happy and turns back into cat form in excitement. She's almost hyper, and Issei tried to calm her down. He rubs her ears and she freezes, then changes into her Nekomata form again. Issei stopped and saw a blushing Kuroka with a pout. Why did you stop? Kuroka said. I almost treated you like a cat rather than a person. Sorry. Bitch, I'm both, Kuroka said. You're a person first and foremost. Never forget that. You really have changed and matured mostly, and I like that about you, Kuroka said. Thanks. Life improved for everyone after that, Issei said. I'll say, but can you please continue to scratch my ears? I really like it. If it makes you happy, then so be it. He fulfilled her request and she enjoyed it so much that she was completely relaxed on his lap. I looked at him with a pout of her own. What? Do me? Again? What? I'm asking you to scratch my ears. Those foxes love it too. Oh, thank goodness. I thought you meant something else. Someone is still a bit of a perv in his mind, huh? Kuroka said. Jeez, you're not helping, Issei said. Come on, Issei. Do my ears too, I replied. Alright. He scratched both of their ears and ran his hands through their hair. Both were overtaken by amazing sensations. Oh, Issei, your hands feel so good. Issei was now starting to turn red. Oh yeah, don't stop. Oh yes. Issei basically had steam coming out of his ears at this point. The moans and seductive words was becoming a bit too much. He decided to slow down and eventually stop. This way he calms down and the girls get their fill. Nice trick, Issei. You saw that, huh? No surprise there. Issei, Ari, and Kuroka went to his place to only find his team were packing their belongings. What are you guys doing? They're moving out, Zenovia said. How come? Kuroka replied. Because in case you and Ari move in when you're dating Issei, it'll be weird that most of his exes living under the same roof, Akano said. You guys don't have to do this. We can still live together as a family. No, Issei. We both know some of us can't stay. Everyone except for Ross Visa, Irina, and Ravel hurt you. You dated Akano and I, almost connected with Konoko the same way. Those feelings will forever linger. Kiba and Gasper are coming with us. I do mean my knight and my bishop by my side, Rias said. Issei looks for Azia and Irina for help. Sorry, Issei, but they made up their minds, but Azia and I will stay. Half of the team in one place and half of the team in another? What about Zenovia and Ross Visa? Issei replied. They are staying here. Ari and Kuroka stayed silent, and this was none of their business. Guys, wait. Can you at least let Konoko stay? Kuroka will be staying with us, and it's the best that those two try to spend some time together. Kuroka looked at him in surprise. She won't like that one bit. I'll talk to her about it. No need to worry. Speaking of which, where is she? She's out getting some snacks. It's almost an hour now that we have noticed. Should we go look for her? Ari says. No, I'll go alone. She barely knows you and is a bit alert around Kuroka. I'll be back soon. I know her favorite shopping spot. You two can make yourselves at home, Issei replied. Issei walks out the door to look for her. He found her sitting alone, not far from the park. Barely visible, but she looked down. Issei silently approached her. Hey, Konako, you doing okay? Konako was a bit startled. Oh, hey, I'm fine, Konako said. Whenever girls say they are fine, it really means that they aren't. So what's bothering you? It's Kuroka coming back, isn't it? Yes, Konako said. Look, I know that you hate her for leaving you, but you don't know her side of the story. Why not talk to her? I'm afraid to. Afraid you'll get close to get hurt again? Yes. Preaching the choir, sister. I never got to fully apologize for everything I did to you. Considering my former perverted nature, I had all of Oma's coming. Look, I know your fear all too well, and it nearly killed me. Don't make my mistake. She'll won't be sisters again, you know, Issei said. How do you know? Earlier I asked Rias to let you stay and catch up with Kuroka. Kuroka was surprised by my request, but saddened immediately after fearing you would leave her like she had left you, Issei said. She had to leave? I believe so. I don't know her past, but I know she cares for you. Give her a chance. Konako just stood there silent. You said that you don't want a relationship with two or more women at the same time. So what was that at the park? Konako said. I'm dating Ari, but Kuroka seems to like me as well. Her confession was genuine, so who am I to break her heart? Issei said. So what will you do? Go out with the bottom of them as a trial? I'm not sure if I can handle two relationships. You did good with the rest of us. Up until that moment I fucked up, Issei said. Not your fault. We all knew about your trauma, which you're responsible for, and still blamed you. Hey, forget about that. I'm over it. If I can get through all of that and still love you guys, then you can too. Konako smiled. Thanks. I'll try. God, come on. Let's get some ice cream. Vanilla and chocolate chip, Konako said. Cool. They picked up some ice cream and went back. Everyone was done packing and decided to have dessert together after dinner. Issei's parents were disappointed that half of them were moving out, but would visit as per their request. They welcomed Ari and Kuroka, who magically hid their fox/cat ears and tails. Issei didn't want his parents to know about the supernatural things just yet. And that's the end of Chapter 12. Chapter 13. A Real Date. Even better than the others, Ari said. You have a gift that none of them have, Issei said. Ari swung her tails with a compliment. She kissed him once more. Issei took her back to her place. I had the time of my life, Issei said, as did I. If you ever want to go on another date, let me know. Deal. Ari went inside. Issei could hear her singing from joy. Oh, he loved her voice. He didn't want to hang around and seem like a stalker, but he just started to walk away, and he was interrupted by Kuno jumping on his back. What the? Kuno? Where did you come from? Lady Yakuza appeared right after that. She sensed your presence, and once she does, even I can't stop her, Yakuza said. Why didn't you come visit us today if you were in Kyoto? Sorry, Kono. I planned on it if there was something I needed to do. He looked at Ari's house with a smile. Yakuza knew that look. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you two were on a date. Ari was behind the door listening. Yeah, it was our first date together. I'm sorry for not telling you I was here. I apologize, Kono. No need for that. If anything, we owe you an apology for interrupting your date, Yakuza said. No, it's quite alright. Our date has concluded, Issei said. Are you staying for a while? I can't, but I promise to visit. If you want to see me, then just let me know. I'm only one call away, Issei said. Okay, can we play with Big Sis and Ari again like last time, Kono said? Sure, we love spending time with you, Issei said. Ari whispers to herself. If you're good with kids that aren't on your own, then just how good of a father you'll be one day. Dare I say, ours, Ari thought in her head. She got lost in thoughts about her and Issei having kids, but she won't be the only one. She knows that Kuroka likes him too. She peeked through the curtains and saw Issei letting Kono sit on his shoulders and Yakuza looking at her with a smile and a wink. Ari went eep, then ducked from embarrassment. Yakuza is definitely a wing woman for Ari. Issei teleported home and went to bed. After a second or two, he felt something move on his bed. He looked over and saw Kuroka in her cat form. Hey, Kuroka, were you waiting for me? She turns back to her usual self. Yup. So how was it? Kuroka said. How my date went? Between her and I? He said, so what about our date? You said you would. I'm free tomorrow. You? Sounds good to me, Kuroka said. We can watch a movie tomorrow if you want. Done. I'm a free devil now, so why not? Kuroko replied. The next day, they went on their date and watched a movie, had dinner together, and had a great time. Kuroko was really happy that she was free. By the end of the day, they kissed, and at the right moment, they saw a camera flash go off. They both looked at the bushes and heard voices arguing in a loud voice. Why is the flash on? It's too dark for the photo without one. Issei and Kuroko quietly approach the bushes. Issei makes his regular hollow mask appear while Kuroko was blushing from embarrassment and slight anger at her ruined moment with Issei. He cuts the slash in half using Escalating. The two, without a doubt, Irina and Gasper. They looked at Issei with fear. Oh, hey, Issei. I warned you, Issei replied. The two immediately bolted and Issei went full vegetable and chased after them. Kuroko fell on her butt laughing. Good thing Issei can control his hollow powers, otherwise the two would be dead. In the time Issei began to fall in love with Ari and Kuroko, he married them both in 3 years and had 2 kids named Naruto and Kurama, who were inseparable. He had a number of kids with Kuroko, mainly because she wanted lots of kids personally and to fulfill her duty to save her race from extinction. His parents were eventually told about the supernatural, and they were very accepting of it. Rias and Akeno were envious of Ari and Kuroko, but they knew they couldn't switch places with them. Issei starred in a new action series, full family entertainment, and it was a bigger hit than the Grab and Dragon. The kids wanted so much to be as strong as him, they trained continuously and became quite strong. He made more than enough money to look after his family and provide with them the very best. And that is the end of Chapter 13. Chapter 14, the Epilogue. Issei had mastered his hollow drive in a year or so. He was so powerful that no matter how hard Volley trained or how strong he got, he couldn't match Issei in a fight. This eventually reached a point where he just gave up. His power was the key to stopping the release of the Triaxa. Rizavim Lucifer wasn't a match for Issei, obviously, as his power continues to evolve, but it was never enough to corrupt him. He always made time for his family. This is his hollow drive. He was known by many names, such as the Hollow Dragon, Crimson Hollow, Guardian Hollow, so many names, but he only went by 2 names. His own and Drake's, for they are 2 in 1 after all. He taught many children that could accept their flaws and rise above it. It worked for so many of them and became better people in every way. His Hollow and Dragon powers were also passed down to kids who were now classified as the new race in the underworld. Their parents taught them to control and master their powers. Many were afraid, but at first he won them over with kindness and not fear. Rias became the champion of the raiding game since Issei was her pawn, until he was promoted to Ultimate Class Devil. He was offered to become a Devil King, but he refused because he would rarely get to see his family. He introduced Matsuda and Motohama to some ladies in the Fallen Angel and Yokai factions. The two were no longer pervs and they became better people and married a Fallen Angel and a Fox Yokai. They were there for Issei now, and Issei helped them out. Sir Zex and Grathia still wished that Issei was their brother-in-law, but at last, not all wishes come true. Rias and Akeno couldn't be his wives, so they settled on being aunties for the kids, as per Issei's, Ari's, and Kuroka's request. The same went for the rest of the ORC. Sir Zex and Grathia, his son Milikis, finally had little brothers and sisters since Issei was a brother to them. Orpheus and Great Red would challenge Issei one day due to his power now rivaling theirs. Issei refused to fight to avoid ripping the very fabric of reality into nothing. They were skeptical at first but showed no hostility or intent or deception. B made peace with them. Great Red went back to the dimensional gap but would drop by now and check on everything. Orpheus still in her little girl form, would move in with Issei, but his very existence, including his wife, Ari, and his kids, would intrigue her to no end. Everyone was worried about her staying, but she meant no harm. She felt too protective of them. She bonded with them, and Konako would eat sweets together. Kuroka, Ari, and even Konako would help restore Issei's life force if his own includes Ravel as Bishop, Zenobia as Knight, Ingrid as Leviathan, and as the other Bishop, whom he saved after beating Rizavim, Rosvisa and Byuko as Rooks, Arthur as Knight. Volley eventually became really good friends with Issei and would drink with Sir Zex and Azazel. Albion and Drake let their rivalry go, maintain peace. Lefay and Kao didn't want to become part of the Parage since they were pretty happy with their lives. No fighting among anyone, peace resides supreme. The human was eventually told of the supernatural world, and they took over using a democratic approach. They were shown the truth of everything sign as truth and faith, which weird since some of it was coming out from the devils and fallen angels, but the angels themselves shared their views. The humans followed their lead, and peace resigned everywhere in the human world, underworld, heaven, and eventually other mythologies. Humans were taught magic that fixed just about all of their problems. They could create homes, grow good easily and in seconds. Flight and teleportation removed the need for vehicles. Pollution and climate change no longer became a problem. Those with exceptional magical talent compensated from those who had next to none. Those who wanted to be like everyone else in the supernatural worlds joined them. Any conflicts between were resolved through peaceful means that should hostility ever arise, then a raiding game would solve the problem. In case it didn't had, if someone wanted war, then Issei would be ready with his hollow drive because he is a hollow with a heart. And that is the end of the story. So I know the ending was somewhat of underwhelming, but it was somewhat of a heartwarming story, a little change of pace. And I know it wasn't officially what if Issei finally lost it, because I only read the first 3 chapters and I thought it was absolutely amazing. Then things kind of slowed down. But my next series is either going to be called What If Issei Went Solo or What If Issei Went Rogue. Now I'm going to probably put up a poll for it as well, because I'm not exactly sure which everyone likes so far. My channel members will probably be the official decision. If you guys want to become a channel member, it will be linked down in the description below. It's the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. And thank you guys so much for 23,000 subscribers. It truly is a blessing. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And I have a bunch of special series coming soon. So just expect a lot more what ifs on Issei, what ifs on Naruto, and possibly even my boy Goku, because I love that man down to the bone. So let's try to hit 600 likes for this video, as I said before. And without further ado, peace.